Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Monday. It is January 27th. It is 2020. We have 6 basketball games to talk about here on today's slate. I'm joined by my good buddy, Jordan Cooper. Blenderhead, how are you doing, my friend?
Fine. I mean, it's a little weird talking about NBA when, we get sudden news that Kobe Bryant died. I mean, like in the middle of the day. I mean, that's typically not a notification I'm expecting to see on an NBA slate. So it kind of took the luster out of playing. I mean, I withdrew from GPP. I'm just like, I'll just play a cash lineup. I don't feel like building 50, 60 lineups or whatever. Although, like, I didn't really follow basketball during that period. Like, I was more in the Jordan, Karl Malone, Akeem Olajuwon kind of dream team era. But I mean, yeah, I mean, one of the top icons in basketball history, untimely passing young is obviously going to be a shock to the system.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day, that's for sure. No doubt about it. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to everyone's families that were involved in the helicopter crash, not just Kobe's family. It's terrible news. It's nothing you never want to see. So really sad about it. I grew up watching Kobe. Like, I'm 31. He played for 20 years. I watched him, play basketball for a long time. I played varsity basketball. I watched basketball a lot. So, like, obviously, it's just he's such an iconic person too. Like, not even just in basketball. So, sad to see the news. Definitely grabbed my kids a lot more, my wife a lot more today, because you never know. So now that we have started your morning off the way that Sunday has been, we're going to get going here on Monday, get into this basketball slate. And Tuesday is the day. Like, the Lakers play at home against the Clippers. Like, that place is going to be crazy on Tuesday. That's for sure. So we start with Cleveland at Detroit, 221 total here. Detroit favored by 6.5 in this game. Brandon Knight and Zizic are both out. Blake Griffin, Luke Kennard are out on the other side. Anything standing out to you for Cleveland?
I mean, on FanDuel, I think the prices are a little bit better. But I mean, we say that every time we talk about FanDuel. The prices are always better on FanDuel. I think none of these guys would be, I consider, primary plays. You could take a shot on a Garland at 4,800, a Sexton at 6,700, a ceiling game from Love at 7,900. But I mean, if anything, I mean, I'll go back to it. I tried it on Saturday and it didn't work. If Tristan Thompson, if they actually give him the minutes, especially if they're going to need someone to, be on the court with Drummond, 5,700 for him. I mean, we've seen him put up 40 to 50-point games. So I may not be a cash play, but I see myself taking a shot when I'm making my multi-entry builds on someone like that and just hoping he gets, the closing minutes of each half.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, when I'm looking at Cleveland, obviously, like, Colin Sexton is a high usage guy. He's going to have good games from time to time. I don't love the price. I think the price, he's priced right. Like, he had that good game a couple games ago against Washington. Price tag is kind of caught up with that production. Kevin Love, 7,900. He can go off in any matchup, but I don't even love him in this spot. Like, Cleveland, a team, even on a 6-game slate, I don't love it. Larry Nance Jr., probably it on the Cleveland side, and I don't even feel great about that. So Cleveland, really just not a team that I like here. And then on the Detroit side, like, this is a great matchup for Drummond. Drummond's a guy that I definitely want to look at in this matchup. Cleveland's a team that allows a ton of fantasy points, pretty much every position. They're not very good defensively. So outside of Drummond, or if you even like Drummond, what are you looking at here on Detroit?
Okay, what's going on with Reggie Jackson? I know that he sat out last game, but he's coming back from an injury.
Yeah, he's not even on the injury report. I think it was just paying attention to, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, that reduces my my liking for, like, guys like Bruce Brown or Langston Galloway. I think Derrick Rose is priced appropriately at 7,800 on DraftKings. So like, it is what it is. So for me, I see at least on DK. I mean, probably on FanDuel also. Drummond that would be the guy that I want to get, and I think with the way that we're gonna once we get to the Rockets game, you're gonna be able to find plenty of value to get Drummond in.
Yeah, there's going to be a plenty of value. I don't think it's going to be hard to fit Drummond in here. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see some other value open up throughout the day too. So I think Drummond is kind of like one of those staple type plays for me today, depending on the news. At 9,600.
I think on FanDuel, see the difference on FanDuel is like Drummond on DraftKings is looks like 700 less than Towns, but he's 100 more than Towns on FanDuel. So deciding between the two, I think I side. I mean, it's close, but I side with Towns on FanDuel, but Drummond on DraftKings.
Well, you play whoever you want on FanDuel. I'm sticking to.
I want to play both of them. I can't play both centers. I can can play Drummond and Towns on DraftKings. So you're gonna have to make a choice on FanDuel though.
There is this guy named Luka on the slate too that we'll get to, but
you could play all three of them. Truthfully, I've made a build like that. You can.
That's funny. Is there anything else kind of standing out with Detroit? I'm not really seeing much here. Like Derrick Rose, like you said, he's okay. It's just the price point with Reggie Jackson coming back. I don't love it. I think that like Derrick Rose is going to be a guy that when Reggie Jackson's playing, plays closer to the 30-minute mark instead of the 40-minute mark like he did last time out. High usage right now, but I probably won't play Derrick Rose in this spot at this price point. And, even Reggie Jackson at 4,300, like he's probably going to play like 23 to 25 minutes. I guess we should potentially consider him, right, at 4,300.
I mean, when it was 3,100, I was barely considering him, and he put up a good game in 19 minutes. I just don't think we need him. I mean, you can play Reggie Jackson. We're going to get to the Rockets, and you're going to be like, well, why aren't I playing any one of these 7 guys?
Yep, we'll get there. Moving on, we got Orlando at Miami. It's a back-to-back here for Orlando, so we don't have any injury news for them as of right now. I would expect DJ Augustine to be out and Isaac to be out. So on the Miami side of things, Jimmy Butler's questionable, Goran Dragic is questionable, and Nunn is questionable, and Winslow's still out. So obviously waiting on some injury news here for the Heat. Let's start here with the Orlando Magic. Anything kind of standing out to you here for the Magic?
I mean, I think when it comes to game environments on the slate, it's probably the lowest owned game, assuming everyone plays. If we have like 3 guys out if we have Butler, Dragic, and Nunn out, then Miami becomes pretty chalky. But I only see the reason. I mean, you could make a case for Vooch. You can make a case for like Gordon or Fournier. They're all efficiently priced, and it's probably going to end up being the lowest total on the board, I would think, out of all these games. Maybe Spurs Bulls, maybe close to it, but a slow-paced defensive matchup. The only reason I'd be playing any of these guys is because no one else is playing them. So feel free to take a shot on any one of them. And I'm more inclined to play the Magic if we get Miami value, because people will jam in Miami and then not play any Magic alongside it. So that's really what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, like obviously some guys sit. Like I have interest. This game, like these two teams, both of these teams very good defensively. Orlando, obviously they've been playing really good defense here recently. Miami, they've been hit or miss this season defensively, but they're still like, this is going to be a slow-paced game, good defense. We have some games on the slate that provide, much faster pace with less defense. Like Miami's 26th in pace and Orlando's 28th in pace. Like this is a slow game, and there's nothing price-wise on the Orlando Magic that's like, oh, you have to play me. I think, like, the only guy that's somewhat interesting is Aaron Gordon, but, like, he really hasn't had those, like, explode-type games this season. Like, all the cheap guys, we're going to talk about Houston here in a few minutes, and, again, like, there's just a ton of value on the Houston side. So I will note that Birch started against the Celtics on Friday, and then he started again against the Clippers. Like if he were to start, he's 3,100. Miami, if they go big here, like if Birch starts, I have interest at 3,100 just because he's a nice pivot off of some of these other guys we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if they play with the Adebayo, Myers, Leonard type of lineup, I mean, I'm assuming they'd rather have Birch at power forward than Gordon there with a Wundu as a small forward. So, I mean, I could definitely see 3,100, maybe not a cash play. I don't think you need to go there, but in GPP definitely. And on the Miami side, I think they're all, if everyone's in, I think they're all priced efficiently. I mean, Butler's obviously at 8K. He could give you a 50-point game in any matchup. But if one of them is out, it makes the other guys slightly better plays, but not like remarkably better plays. Like if Dragic is out, like Hero is still like 5,000. Like Robinson is 5,100. We're not getting these guards at 4K, 3,800 type prices on DK anymore. So in a realistic sense, I need to see two of these guys out before I then go, I got to start jamming some of these people in.
Let's talk the others, like Miami, like, night before trying to break down Miami here is almost nearly impossible with all these, question marks because like the thing is like these guys are legit questionable too. Like they're not like, oh, they're questionable, they might not play. Like Bam, on DraftKings, he has a questionable mark, but he is probable. Like that one's easy. But like when we're looking at Butler, when we're looking at Goran Dragic, we're looking at Kendrick Nunn. Like all these guys are legit questionable, and it's really tough to figure out like who you want to play. Tyler Hero played 40 minutes the other night, took 19 shots, had a terrible game, and put up 25 fantasy points. He had a terrible game and still put up 25 fantasy points.
Yeah, but the problem is that is he going to get 40 minutes unless like two of these guys are out? I mean, that's why it really depends. Like if Butler's out, that's a lot more usage than if just like Dragic or Nunn is out, because that really doesn't do all that much. So really, I'd love to see two of these guys out, and then I could start looking at the Derek Jones Juniors. I could look at the James Johnsons. I could look at the really cheap guys for value in some of my GPP lineups. But outside of that, I mean, the game in and of itself is not all that appealing.
Yeah, wait till injury news here. This is a 7:30 game. Hopefully we get some news on this one. If all these guys play, I don't really have any interest in any of these guys. If guys start sitting, I think it opens up some value. Like if Butler sits, I think Kendrick Nunn would be interesting if he plays. If both of them sit, I think Duncan Robinson would be a little interesting as far as Tyler Hero too. So I'm just going to have to kind of wait and see how this kind of plays out as far as minutes and, who these guys are going to like, who's going to get minutes and stuff. Like we saw Dion Waiters play the other night. Like like Miami. Thank you. Dion Waiters, who wasn't supposed to play again this season with this team, played 18 minutes the other night. So good luck trying to figure out Miami Heat if all these guys sit again. So, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to move on. We got Dallas at OKC. No total in this game. Dwight Powell, he's out. Nerlens Noel is questionable, and Ferguson is still out. Let's start here with Dallas. Obviously, anytime we start with Dallas, we start with Luka. But I want to start with Mark Cuban. I think it was awesome that Mark Cuban came out and said that they were going to retire the number 24 in honor of Kobe Bryant, and nobody in Dallas is ever going to wear that number again. So shout out to Mark Cuban, and I'll let you talk about fantasy, though.
Well, I mean, on Dallas, I think I think Luka is not a priority on DraftKings at 11.9, but at sub 11 on FanDuel, it's play whoever you want, right? I mean, why not? I mean, you can jam in everyone you want. The Rockets prices are even better on FanDuel. So, I mean, play Luka on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, the guy that I'm a little bit interested in, I'm going to need to see what his projection is. Based on their starting lineups now with Powell out, Curry's been playing minutes. And at 4,300, I know he's a little bit shooting dependent, but, I mean, I would think that 4,300 for 28 minutes of Seth Curry is on par with some of these the Rockets' value. He's only shooting guard eligible on DraftKings and you're going to need to fill that spot with someone, I don't think it's that bad of a play. And I mean, like you got the Cleavers and the DFSs and the Hardaway Juniors. I mean, I'll probably still stay away from Porzingis, given the context of this slate. But yeah, if you could fit Luka into your lineups and cash games on DraftKings, then great. But I just think I'd rather have Drummond at 9,600 as my first spend up, and then if I could get Luka, I get Luka. But outside of that, like these are more like filler type of like the $4,500 range players are. If it's the last spot and you don't have a rocket to take in that spot, like take one of these guys.
Yeah, the only problem that I have with Seth Curry here is if Willie Cauley-Stein plays, I see Dallas going back to like a bigger lineup. And if that happens, I think Seth goes from like starting to back to a bench role, potentially playing like 20 to 25 minutes. And like, I at that point, I just want to say, like, pay attention. You know, if Willie Cauley-Stein starts next to Porzingis, they're going right back to that normal lineup that they were rolling out there, just moving Powell off and putting Willie Cauley-Stein in there because he was with the team Saturday. This is a couple extra days. I think he plays in this game, and I think that we see Dallas use those two big guys and Maxey kind of, you know, as that bench guy and, you know, play those three big guys here.
Does that give, I mean, do we play Cauley-Stein at 5,000 on the Mavericks on his first start? Because, I mean, I don't see him walking into starters minutes. I see him walking into splitting time with Kleber or Keebler, according to you, obviously. That at 5,000, I mean, I know his usage is going to be all different because he's not on the Warriors anymore. But to me, I think this is a worse situation because, like, Luka gets it all and Hardaway will take some shots. So I think on the Warriors, Cauley-Stein, I mean, with all their star players out, had more of a shot at getting good fantasy points per minute. So, like, I think we're going to end up seeing Cauley-Stein back down to like 4,000 unless he's playing 32 minutes. I don't think he's worth it.
Dwight Powell was playing, you know, anywhere from 26 to 35 minutes a night. And a lot of that, it's hit or miss because we'd have to go back and really like kind of pay attention to when Porzingis was playing. It was probably less than that. So, like, I'm thinking that we see Willie Cauley-Stein play around 25 minutes. And if that's the case, and I'm saying 25 probably is like the high end number. So if that's the case, like, I don't think we play him. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes off here and he gets, you know, a little bit more extra run, but I don't think it's a situation that I would necessarily trust. Like, there's just so many other value plays that I'd rather take shots on in this range than these guys.
It's also center only, so like you're gonna have to fill a set. I mean, yeah. You have Drummond and Towns to pay. I just don't see the need for him.
Yep. The Thunder side of things, you know, obviously with Noel questionable, you know, with the face injury, Steven Adams, we'll kind of have to see if he gets back up to normal minutes here. I think they're going to be pretty careful with him right now. And if that happens, like, you know, Baisley is a guy that played 30 minutes the other night with Adams banged up and Noel out.
Yeah, I mean, I think on DraftKings, I mean, if everyone's a good to go, I think their prices are efficient. I mean, at best, I mean, you could always play Chris Paul, I guess, at 7,500. On FanDuel, on the other hand, the small forward position is weak. I mean, it's really, really weak. Like, Gallinari's 6,200, and I think he's the highest priced small forward. That's underpriced on FanDuel, so I think you're playing him there. But I'm going to try to avoid playing Steven Adams in this. If Noel is healthy and Adams is coming back from an injury, like, I just see a lot of split minutes there. So, and these guys are center eligible only. So I don't see a need whatsoever. And I don't necessarily think that the Mavericks are the greatest of matchups for like efficient production in short amount of time in the front court. So I could definitely see, unless I'm playing Mavericks in the lineup on DraftKings, I may not have a single one of these guys.
Yeah, like, if Noel came back and Adams was going to be limited again and Noel wasn't, like, maybe you fire him up and take a shot, but I just don't know if this is necessarily the right slate to do that. Like he has a ceiling. Like he does. Like he has some upside. It just I don't know if he ends up getting there. Is there anybody else here, like any of these other like high end guys that you're looking at?
Well, I mean,
for
you
the
could
Thunder?
play SGA. I mean, yeah, we've seen SGA put up 50 points. I mean, but I mean, he's efficiently priced at 7,300. I mean, any of these guys get hit the ceiling in any game, right? Dennis Schroeder at 6,800. Just that they're expensive. So, like, we have better. I mean, we're gonna get to other. We're gonna get to. I'd rather play like a Donovan Mitchell or something like that than spend up for these guys. But they probably will be lower owned. So there's a viability leverage wise, but you're not getting a deal on any.
Yeah, it's just I think these guys are okay. I think this is going to be a really competitive game, and I feel like this is one of those games that I'm going to kind of regret being underweight on. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I could see this game being super competitive and kind of breaking the slate if it does stay that way. It's just pricing wise, and I know like projections are probably going to like back it up. Like, I just don't see anybody like screaming and jumping off the page here.
No, yeah, I'm assuming when projections come up tomorrow, none of the OKC guys come up as anywhere close to a top point per dollar play.
Anything else from this one?
No?
Life today is kind of a lot. It forces us to always be on, but every now and then it's important to just stop, crack open a cold Coors Light, and chill. So when you choose to turn off, choose the one beer that's made to chill. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment made to chill. The mountains on the bottles and cans even turn blue when your beer is cold. That way you always know when it's time to chill. When you need to hit the reset, just open a Coors Light. Its mountain cold refreshment is made to chill. There's work, friends, family, a million pressing social issues and expectations to be on all the time. If the pace of things is wearing you down, take a moment, pause, and refresh yourself. You need a moment to turn off for a little bit, mindlessly scrolling online, binge watching TV, just going golfing to drink. And when you choose to turn off, reach for one beer that's made to chill. You know me, I like to chill. I'm a chill person. I feel like I'm a chill person. I like to crack open a nice Coors Light and watch some basketball that we got going on right now. Baseball especially too. So if you're chilling out and watching the games, crack open a nice cold Coors Light. And yeah, that's why Coors Light is the one I choose when I need a moment to chill. So when you want to reset, reach for a beer that's made to chill. Celebrate responsibly, and Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, within each. So make sure to celebrate responsibly. And let's move on. We got Sacramento at Minnesota, 225 total here. Minnesota favored by 3. Bagley's out. Holmes is out. Crabbe is doubtful. Layman is out. What do you like here for Sacramento?
I'm going to say what I normally say. The prices are better on FanDuel. Like Bielitsa in the power forward spot at 6,100 on FanDuel. I think you could go there. You could take a shot at. See, the problem is that Dedmon's only center eligible, and you're going to have to figure that someone has to guard Towns. Probably not going to be Bielitsa. So, like, he's 4,700. I know he sucked against the Bulls. I know because I had him against the Bulls. I don't see a reason. I mean, I think it's a good matchup for him, but risky. I mean, it doesn't make me feel good to have Dedmon in my lineup. But I could see taking a shot on a Bogdanovic if he starts again at 5,300. He's another one that had a bad game against the Bulls. Or if Buddy Hield's off the bench and then closes, I think he's fine. I mean, like Fox and Hield are the types of guys that, like, if I'm playing Timberwolves, I may want to play some of them. But I'm assuming that Fox at 8,100 is going to go under-own this slate for his ceiling. In a good matchup, I'm expecting this to be a higher total game. And if Fox put up 55 points this game, I would not be shocked. But I think the main targets that I'm looking for on DraftKings would be like the front court players and Bogdanovic. And then on FanDuel, I don't even think you need to use any of these guys other than maybe Bielitsa at 6,100 because as the the running thing on this podcast. Wait until we get to the Rockets game.
That is the running joke, right? Like, just wait till we get to Houston. We'll
All right, it's the last game on the slate, and we're burying the lead.
Wait till we get to Utah. Like, the game's in Utah, so just wait till we get there. We'll talk about it. Yeah, as far as Sacramento goes, I agree with you. I think Fox has a ceiling to be a difference maker for GPPs here. I like the spot for Bielitsa. I wish his price would come down a little bit, but I think that's another reason why people are not going to play him in this spot. Buddy Hield, always a guy that if he shoots well, he's a guy that can go off, but like he's strictly tournaments just because it all depends on how he's shooting the ball. So, and then Dedmon, like, again, you have to use a center spot for him, and I probably won't end up doing that. So, Fox, I really like the spot for Fox, like especially if I'm playing like Karl Anthony Towns on the other side, and I want to run it back. So let's talk about that other side. Let's talk Minnesota here. Man, Josh Okogie came out, played really well against Houston, and then stunk it up against OKC. I think this is a better matchup for him. What do you like here for Minnesota?
Well, it really depends on their starting lineup. You really have that. They're not playing Culver and Okogie together. So, like the game before, Okogie started and played a bunch of minutes and did well, and then the next game he came off the bench and only played 18 minutes. So you really have to be cognizant of who's starting. I don't mind either of them, whichever one is starting. Doesn't make them great. It doesn't make them great plays, but it just makes them plays. So if Culver starts, 4,400 on DraftKings, not bad. Okogie, 3,800 if he's starting, not bad. I don't think you have to play either of them on FanDuel because you could play don't worry about it. You're going to play like 3 studs on FanDuel and then all the Rockets. So don't even worry about it whatsoever. But outside of that, I mean, Napier had a triple-double the last game. I would have never thought I would have said Shabazz Napier and triple-double in the same sentence before. But, I mean, he has a floor at least for 6,200. We saw his ceiling. I'm expecting maybe recency bias. Too many people go back to him in GPP. But I mean, the main person here against the Sacramento front court is Karl Anthony Towns. And if I had a choice this slate, I would play Luka, I would play Drummond, I would play Towns. And if I could build a lineup like that, I would be happy.
You can on FanDuel.
Yeah, you can on FanDuel, though.
Do whatever you want on FanDuel. But yeah, Napier's price coming up that much might be a spot to jump off. You can have like Culver sitting in your shooting guard spots. And like if he starts, you can just leave him in there. If Okogie starts, you just swap him out to Okogie and you just, save the $600, you spend it somewhere else. There's so many 8:00 games too, for a 6-game slate, 4 of the games start 8:00 later. So like, there's going to be plenty of ways that you can kind of work around your lineup if you want to, but it's a thought to play one of those guys in like a guard or a shooting guard spots. That way you can kind of swap out and, but it has to be Culver in there because he's the more expensive guy. So you can go down to Okogie. You can't go from Okogie to Culver. I got nothing else here. I'm with you. I like Karl Anthony Towns a lot in this spot. Sacramento has been really bad at defending the 3-point line. It wouldn't shock me if Wiggins had a good game here, for what it's worth. Like,
it wouldn't shock you if he had a bad game.
It wouldn't shock me if he scored 8 points. So I was just pointing out that this team, they have definitely struggled guarding the 3-point line this season. So if Wiggins maybe stands more towards half court and doesn't stand over in the corner, he might put up 35 plus fantasy points here. But don't count on it. San Antonio at Chicago, 218 total here. San Antonio fair by 1.5 in this game. It's a back-to-back for them, so we really don't know what we're looking at as far as injury news. Wendell Carter Jr., Gafford, Markkanen, and Porter are all out on the Chicago side. Let's start with San Antonio. I don't ever look at pricing before we start. I always give like my first look as far as pricing is. And like, I think LaMarcus Aldridge against the worst rebounding team in the NBA is actually somewhat interesting here.
It's somewhat interesting. I mean, but this game screams out on a back-to-back for the Spurs and Chicago being they're a sneakily good defensive team. Like this, if this game ended like 84-78, like I would not be shocked. But that doesn't mean there may be not a ton of rebounds. So, like, I'm less inclined to want to play DeRozan, but Aldridge seems fine on DraftKings at 7,200. He's 8,000 on FanDuel, and you would think that on FanDuel he'd be 5,600 the way that they price people. So I'm actually like raw points wise on FanDuel, fine, sure, but I just don't even think you have to go there. So like I actually find him better play on DraftKings than I do on FanDuel with the pricing. And then you have like we have to see what the injury report's going to be on whether or not like you get a Dejounte Murray sitting or what's going. I mean, they're all priced decently. You could always plug in Bryn Forbes for 25 minutes at 3,500 and hope he gets 20 points. You could do it, but I mean, on both sites, nothing really stands out much in a game that I'm not really expecting to be full of scoring.
Yeah, like LaMarcus stands out a ton. DeMar DeRozan, he could easily like have a really good game here. And like the Spurs in general, like, you know, White and these guys from time to time have good games. Derek White is a guy that's a little interesting to pivot off of some of these potential chalk guys because like he's a guy that's gone for, you know, 29 plus fantasy points now in 5 straight games. It's all about minutes for him. You know, the last back-to-back they played, he had a really good game against Phoenix, so I don't hate him. On the Chicago side of things, like Thaddeus Young, 4,900, going to play, you know, plenty of minutes here. He's another guy that, like, Houston's the value, but these guys are interesting pivots.
Well, I think I think you could play Thad Young also. I mean, it really comes down to in your power forward, you're playing Thad Young, you're playing P.J. Tucker. And we all know the P.J. Tucker experience, so maybe you should be playing Thad Young instead. Are we paying 9,800 for Zach LaVine on DraftKings? Is that I mean, I know he got there last game, but the game before when I actually did play him, he got 30 fantasy points. I can't see him being more than like 6% owned on a 6-game slate. Because how do you pay 9,800 for LaVine? And then you don't play 9,600 for Drummond or 10-3 for 10. I know it's a shooting guard spot and not a center spot, but there's no way I put Zach LaVine anywhere close to the level of those players.
He had 41% usage the other night against Cleveland. 41%.
It's Cleveland. You could have any usage. I mean, come on. It's Cleveland's defense in the backcourt. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier and like, there's been a few times he's been over like 35% this season. And like that was the first time he's gone over 35% usage and had over 40 fantasy points. There was one other time it was like Brooklyn, he had 40% usage and put up 41 fantasy points or something along those lines.
Right. So, I mean, he was getting assists and rebounds the last game. Like typically you'll see, Zach LaVine scored 45 real points with 2 rebounds and 3 assists. And you're like, wow, he barely scored 50 fantasy points. Why am I paying $9,800 for this guy on DraftKings? And like on FanDuel, like, yeah, I guess you could use him for raw points, but I don't think he's needed there either.
So just so like we know, like that Chicago Cleveland game, the pace in that game was ridiculously fast too. And, you know, Chicago, a middle of the road pace team, Cleveland, very bottom, like they're 24th or 25th. So it's just something to note because San Antonio is a middle-of-the-road pace team as well. But Chicago really pushed the pace in that game. And it makes some sense with the injuries that they have, some of these guys that are out. So just going to have to kind of – like we're going to have to watch it. We're going to have to see – like Markkanen's out for a while. So we're just going to have to kind of see over the next week and a half, like if Chicago is going to like be a top 5 team in pace with all these guys out, and Zach LaVine pushing the ball with 40% usage.
Yeah, but I mean that also makes it interesting. Like the guys like Satoransky at 5,200 or Kobe White off the bench at 4,100. I don't think any of these guys are core plays. Valentine at minimum price. Hopefully he gets there. Or Archie Diacono. I mean, I just don't want to. I don't want to spend this much salary on Bulls players. So that's why I look at Levine and go like, I can't. How do I live with myself other than in large field GPPs? That construction will be contrarian. So if you want to do it, go for it. Apparently, if you paid, from what I'm looking at now, if you paid 10-4 for Lillard with McCollum back tonight, you still got there. I don't know how it happened, but apparently you're getting there.
Because it was Lillard time. Yeah, I think we'll see a really low ownership on Zach LaVine in this spot, so I don't mind it. And like, with it being a back-to-back for the Spurs, I think this game stays somewhat competitive. And if that happens, it's Zach LaVine making sure it happens. So, all right, we've hinted at it a lot. We got Houston at Utah. Russell Westbrook already announced out, and James Harden is doubtful. It is a back-to-back for Houston, so we'll have to kind of see. Green and Nene are still out as well. On the Utah side of things, everybody's good to go. So we start here with Houston. Slow golf clap for anybody not watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. That helps us out. Slow golf clap for Draftkings. Eric Gordon, 6,900. Like, you actually have to decide, like, if you want to play Eric Gordon at 6,900, even with both of these guys out.
Right, on FanDuel, you don't. He's 4,400. You can plug him in.
FanDuel, you start your cash lineup with Eric Gordon, but, like,
you start every lineup with Eric Gordon. How many shots? He's going to take, like, 24 shots. What are we, nuts?
Yeah, he's gonna do something, that's for sure.
I mean, Eric Gordon on DraftKings at 6,900, I think is efficiently priced. Like, if you told me you were going to play him, I wouldn't call you nuts. What do you think this lineup's going to be? Is it going to be something like Rivers, Gordon, McLemore, Tucker, Capella, something like that?
Good luck figuring out what this lineup is going to be.
But I mean, they'll only have 8 bodies, right?
Well, no, they have more than that because they have
they got House off the. They got Hartenstein and Clark. They got Clemens. They got House. Yeah. That's 9. Who else do they got?
Yeah, Clemens got recalled. And I think Frazier, I thought I read a report that he was going to be, like, up with the team as well.
Okay, so that's another guard. But, I mean, how many minutes do you expect him to get?
I expect Austin Rivers to play 40 minutes in this game.
Right. Well, that's why I look at like DraftKings. They priced up Gordon to 6,900 and McLemore to 5,800, but everyone else they left the same. FanDuel, they just left everyone the same. So I think on DraftKings, I don't have to play Gordon or McLemore, but I could definitely play Austin Rivers at 3,600. I could play House off the bench at 3,900. I could play PJ Tucker. 40. He's going to have to shoot more because look, Harden and Westbrook are out. That's like 78% of the usage on the entire team. So like all these guys have to be able to. They're going to score points. Capella's 8,500. I think he's the least interesting player on their team. But on FanDuel, if you were to play 5 Rockets in cash games, that may be optimal because you could play them all.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Like, Austin Rivers is probably the best value play on DraftKings today. I will say that. You play all these guys on FanDuel, like you were talking about. Cephalosha's back. He's another guy that could play minutes here. House is going to play minutes. Like, my only issue, like, if this game doesn't stay close, but even if this game doesn't stay close, these guys that we're playing are still going to play minutes because they don't have anybody else. So, like, I just don't, like, I think Eric Gordon is probably the biggest risk if this game doesn't stay close, just because, like, he's coming back from injury and he played 35 minutes against Denver on Sunday. So, I really don't like Eric Gordon on DraftKings. I'm perfectly fine fading him on DraftKings or being underweight if you don't want to fade him. That's fine. But you have to play him on FanDuel, and that's where, like, playing on different sites makes a difference.
Right, and same thing for Ben McLemore. Like, I don't see a need to play 5,800 for him on DraftKings. I mean, in GPP, I'm definitely going to be making groups for this team. Like, I could definitely see playing Clemens, but not with Rivers. I could see, or not with Rivers or Gordon. I could see not playing House and Tucker together. I mean, I think the Rockets are going to be chalky, and it'll be all different Rockets. But I don't see myself. You're going to get into very similar constructions by playing 3 or 4 of these guys in the lineup. So I think I may be limiting myself to like no more than 2 or 3. And I know it's a 6-game slate, so there's less options. But I mean, projection. I mean, Harden and Westbrook are out. This isn't like one guy's out. This is like 2 guys are out, and it's essentially, imagine the Warriors the first game of the season, and everyone priced what they should be the first game of the season, and then all we knew is Steph Curry and Durant are out. I mean, like, it's the same type of thing. So don't overthink this and go, well, the game won't stay. Who cares if the game doesn't stay close? Outside of Gordon and McLemore on Draftkings, everyone is priced like a reserve player. Do you think the Rockets are only going to score 32 points in the entire game? They're going to score 80 or something. I mean, everyone's going to get there to some extent. So I don't think you have to play it cute. It's just a matter of how many do you play in certain lineups and trying to get away from chalk constructions in GPP.
Yeah. You have to know going in, Rivers, House, Tucker, McLemore, Gordon, Capella are all going to play really strong minutes. It's just, if you look at Sunday, Westbrook played 39 minutes. Where are those minutes going to go? Like, in trying to figure out where those minutes are going to go, I think Chris Clemens has the best chance to pick up a good amount of minutes. So we'll have to kind of see. But you look at court IQ, you take Harden and Westbrook off for the whole season, and you have a 134-minute sample size for Austin Rivers, and that's the highest that you have. So, like, it's not – you just don't see these 2 guys usually sitting out at the same time. So,
it's garbage time. You're essentially getting garbage time in court IQ.
Utah. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the safer plays on the slate. They just don't really have anybody that's going to be able to match up with him here, and he's safe. He's really safe.
Yeah, and I think his price is better on FanDuel. That should be their slogan. FanDuel, where the prices are better here. I think Gobert will be underowned. I think Gobert may be the best GPP play if you're stacking everyone's stacking the Rockets. But with the fact that Gobert is 9,000 and is close enough price to Drummond and Towns, people may not play him. He may go like 8% owned on a 6-game slate. He's less likely to get there than Drummond and Towns. I agree with that. But should he be as lower owned? But I still have no problem playing a Bojan Bogdanovic or an Ingles, a Clarkson. Probably still not Conley. I know he's cheap. But or Royce O'Neal. I mean, if I'm playing 3 Rockets in a lineup, why not play 2 of these guys? I think you're going to see if you're doing well. I know this is a 9:00 Eastern game. If you stack the Cleveland-Detroit game at 7 p.m. and that goes to overtime, and you're like, I'm in first place, like, trust me, there's like 7 million PMR behind you because this last game, like, everyone is playing the late game hammer. So the late night, I mean, it's 9:00 Eastern, but so don't post your screenshots yet until this game is over.
All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we're going to get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to 7X.
Okay, and it can't be on FanDuel because that would be too easy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Under 5K to 7X, I'm going to Austin Rivers. Why not? It's easy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Clemens.
I think both of them. I mean, I think everyone does.
Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
Easy. Zach LaVine.
I don't know if that's easy though.
6X? 6X is almost 60. It's 58 points. Zach LaVine could score 55 real life points and not hit 58 fantasy points.
That is true. I was just trying to talk you off of it because that's who I was going to pick too. And then I was trying to find a replacement. So I'm going to go with So let's see. Man, Vooch always plays good against Miami. That's a real
My
homer.
next choice would have been DeRozan, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bam. Favorite 6x play? Who you got?
Favorite 6x play overall?
Yep.
Is it going to be a PJ Tucker game? Is it going to be a 20? This would be a perfect troll spot for PJ Tucker to put up 5 fantasy points, right? Wouldn't it be perfect? Everyone's out. He could get all the shots he wants in the corner. They'll let him shoot 17 times, and for some odd reason, he takes only 3 shots. Yeah, I'm going to say PJ Tucker.
All right. I'm gonna go with LaMarcus Aldridge. I just think I think it's a really good spot for him. Let's get weird GPP play. Who do you got?
Well, I know you're going to take Kem Birch, so I'll take someone else because that.
No, I'm not taking Birch.
Oh, you're not taking one of your Magic guys?
I'm not taking Birch. If I knew Birch was going to start, I do think he'd be really interesting.
Okay, so let's get weird. How weird can we get? How weird could we? Because I mean, it's not going to be one of the Rockets players, right? There's nothing weird going on in that game. Let's get weird. Let's get no one on the high end. Like, who would be weird enough? I mean, would you consider like Jordan Clarkson to be weird?
Yeah,
that's weird enough. I just see with Harden not like doing this ISO crap that the Rockets may actually play even faster than they do. And like these prices, like someone like Ingles or Bogdanovic, someone that's not Mitchell, I see it could be Niang for all we know. I mean, it could be someone like that puts up some insane 10x score. But if I had to choose one of the Jazz, it's going to be Jordan Clarkson.
All right, so I just want you to know, like I had already written it down right there on my screen, Jordan Clarkson for myself as my Let's Get Weird play.
Do you want me to take Kem Birch now? I'll take Kem Birch.
No, I'll take Birch. That's fine. I'll use some arrows here for the game.
Great minds think alike, right? Isn't that when this
Clarkson? He's he continues to lead the minutes off the bench for Utah. If this game gets a little ugly, I think he plays a few extra minutes here. So they're not running out Mike Conley off the bench if this game gets ugly. So I think Clarkson is a great tournament play today. I didn't even hype him up in the game because I had already written him down as my Get Weird GPP play an hour ago. Game selection question. What's standing out to you? DraftKings, Fanduel, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, this is an actual game selection question because, as most of you know, I play mostly on DraftKings. I've been playing cash games primarily, or like mid stakes GPPs, where I'm essentially playing a cash lineup with like a 2v2 or something in it. I don't get FanDuel. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, I'm doing badly. Like, predicting ownership in cash games on FanDuel, I don't get because apparently the people that I think are going to be high owned end up being 28% owned. And I'm trying to wonder, is it because I'm doing something wrong and winning, or there's just more stupid people there? So, I mean, that's the simple way of putting it. So while on DraftKings, I could almost predict people's cash lineups in general. Like those 100-man 50-50s, they fill like, I know this may sound like people that play on FanDuel a lot know exactly what but it's new to me, and at least this NBA season, that these 100-man $2 50-50s, $1 50-50s, $5, they seem to fill like 5 every 2 or 3 hours, and you could easily, if you're building a bankroll, get like $200-300 worth of volume just in that. And when I take a look at a guy that's like, well, Trae Young's going to be 95% owned, and he's like 68% owned. And I wonder, who did other people play? Where were the other 30% of people? What did they play in their lineups? And I'm going, well, Aiden, he's going to be 75% owned. And then he's like 37% owned. And I'm like, and then I start scrolling through some of these lineups, and I go, I want to play more of these people because I don't get that roster construction whatsoever. So I guess my overall game selection thing is, if you're playing on one site play on another site and see if maybe you find something that more profitable for you, and vice versa. So I'm going to FanDuel, and since I'm not like a high roller there, I could play the low stake stuff. And from what I gather, it's softer.
I don't think people have really adjusted on FanDuel from last year to this year.
They still think they could drop a score, Stevie?
No, I'm just
really?
I'm just saying I don't think they've adjusted to play whoever you want. Like, and that's how on FanDuel, like, people don't want to play 3 studs, but most nights you could play 3 studs on FanDuel because of the pricing. So
right, but even when you're going balanced or something, like I just take a look at some of these rosters, and some of them I get, but some of them I go, why isn't this guy, like tomorrow, like why isn't Luka going to be, you're going to go like, well, Luka's going to be like 95% owned, and you wonder, like 30% of your contest will not play him. He's going to get 75 points, and you're going to wonder, like why aren't I playing more volume here?
Right. I'm looking at the $27 single entry tournament over there on DraftKings. It's called the 10K Fast Break. Top 10's getting 42.5%, which I don't love. I like it to be under that, but you're getting paid out almost 25%. So this is a really strong tournament that is nice if you hit it. And if you min cash, it's not going to kill you because, it's paying out 107 spots out of 431 people. So really good odds where if you miss on a player and, you'll cash in this tournament, might not cash in one of those big, $10 or $15 tournaments because it's not paying out as much and there's a lot more people. So the fast break over there on DraftKings, really like that one for building bankroll. Favorite over-under, is there any of these ones that are standing out to you that we have so far?
Well, I don't know what the over. I always give the funny over-under, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, over-under. Okay, how many Rockets do you think on DraftKings will be in the winning GPP lineup? Over, under 2.5?
I'd probably take the over.
Really? You take the over? Ooh, I'll take the under. On DraftKings, on FanDuel, the winning GPP lineup could have 5 Rockets. So, that is the over. But no, only because Gordon and McLemore are a little too expensive. So, I mean, I could see them only being 2.
I'm struggling with this one. I'm trying to keep my streak alive here on Sharp Side. I missed it on Friday. I got back going here on the weekend. Got my streak going again. Went 2 for 3 on my lock for streaks last week. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to take the over at 218 in the Spurs-Bulls game. I'm going to take the over.
Oh, your streak's dead.
I'm going to take the over. So
did I say earlier I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if that game's like 84-78.
I know. I have a weird feeling about that game.
Okay, so maybe I should be stacking it. Maybe play Aldridge, you know what's going to end up happening? It's going to be
Zach LaVine's going to end up putting like 80 fantasy points up. And
PJ Tucker's going to put up 4 points for no reason.
Yeah, so... All right, we're going to get out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back on Tuesday talking some more hoops. If you play Fantasy NASCAR, I did announce the NASCAR package and all the details for that. If you go to the RotoGrinders forums, all the details are right up there, pinned at the top. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Hope everyone crushes. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck in your contest, and we'll see you then.